Alright, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's roll it back. So what's going on here? Well, we're moving out to the countryside, which is very exciting. So here we have Bonnie Britain, and we're moving from roughly here in London out to roughly here in the Chiltern Hills. So what does this mean for the garden room? Well, let me give a little context. You may or may not have wondered how it came to be that I lived next door to my mum. I grew up in my mum's house next door, and my grandmother bought this house to be near to us. In my early 20s, she sadly had to move into a care home, and as the house was empty, I moved in and renovated the house, and later rented out the other rooms. And it's been an absolute blast as a hub for all my friends, but all good things come to an end, and now, in my early 30s, there was that yearning for a place of our own. So what of the garden room? Well, my mum is keeping the house, and as you can probably tell by the fact that I've put plasterboard on the walls of the garden room, I won't be using it as a workshop. And instead it will become an office for me to work in, and while you're not supposed to use it as living accommodation, I think I can get away with it using occasionally as a pied-à-terre of sorts, and no doubt my mum will make use of it to host her book circles and bridge nights. Luckily, the word workshop has a second meaning, which is very apt, so the garden room series will definitely keep its name. Back to the house hunt. Now, I've always been a country boy at heart, but Abby needed a little extra persuading. But the choice between a flat in London or a house further out really swung things. We went looking for a bottom-heavy house, as we currently don't need many upstairs bedrooms, and didn't want to be paying for the extra rooms we're not going to use. However, we also didn't want to have to move again anytime soon. The time it takes looking for the right place, putting in offers, stamp duty, solicitors, I think we can all relate. The previous owners of this house were in their 80s and had lived here for nearly half a century, which we took as a good sign. But as can be expected, the house is a little dated, but conversely very well looked after. But it was this, the garden, that was the main attraction. And for me, being outside in the sunshine, building something, is such a delight, and this garden presents a whole host of opportunity. It even came with koi carp, so if anyone has any tips on looking after them, let me know. Oh, and behind the house there's a lovely beach woodland, so I think getting a dog is definitely on the cards. So both Abby and I liked the house, but it was only after I started playing with the floor plans that the potential of the house really came to life and gave us the confidence to put in an offer. If we start downstairs, we can see the original footprint of the house, and the front door would have been here to the side. The house was later extended over to the right to create a new entrance, garage, dining room and shower room. The idea we have is to extend to the rear, which, given what I've learnt from building the garden room, I think I could do myself, maybe in brick and block. Actually, as it so happens, my mum is having an extension built at the moment, and I'm watching very closely how it's all being done, with this project in mind. Anyway, we could then knock through this wall, but probably reuse the big window to save on cost, and just move it forward to the new outer wall. This would create a big kitchen diner with an island, which would achieve a few things. Number one, it would create a great open plan area with the sitting room. 2, it would create a nice circular flow to the house with the stairs at the centre. 3, it would mean that the existing kitchen can be freed up to become a good sized study. And 4, the existing dining room could become a guest room, as it has the downstairs shower room adjacent. In the hallway, there's not really anywhere to really dump coats or put shoes, so we're thinking of creating a utility cum boot room by subdividing the garage with a stud wall. On one side would be the utility area, which it sort of already is, and the other side the boot room. Maybe something like this, very countrified. Because there's a side door, we could use this as the main entrance to the house, particularly on wet, muddy days. The rest of the garage would stay as it is and be used for storing bikes and maybe a small home gym, but could be converted to a living space in future if we wanted. The last major thing downstairs would be to replace the gas fire with a wood burner by opening up the chimney a bit, and we'd also like to get rid of these bricks, and hopefully end up with something like this. So the downstairs is looking pretty palatial. Let's look upstairs. The upstairs hasn't been extended, and it was a 2-bed with the original bathroom where the 3rd bedroom is now. So our idea is to move the bathroom back where it was, since we don't need a 3rd bedroom. My only reservation with doing this is that upon refinancing, lenders may downvalue the house simply for having fewer bedrooms, which would affect the loan to value, so I'll have to ponder on that some more. However, that would allow us to make bedroom 2 slightly bigger and create a nice big landing. The next step would be to take back the wall between the stairs and the landing ever so slightly to open things up and then reduce it to waist height, or maybe put spindles in to allow more light from the rear window into the landing. What looks like a cupboard is in fact the stairwell, and above it is the hot water tank, so there's not a lot we can do about that. But why go to the trouble of moving the bathroom? Well, if we look at the downstairs again, the side extension can be built over because it's a flat roof. And before buying, I checked out the plans which showed deep foundation and joists thick enough to carry another floor. And as I understand it, it was the intention of the vendors to do it, but they never got round to it. So if we empty the ground floor and overlay the upstairs, we can see the scale. By moving the existing bathroom, we can create a corridor and can punch through the wall and create a master ensuite overlooking the garden and another bedroom. Or of course just one huge master if we didn't need the additional bedroom. Now this all looks great, but there are two problems I can see, both to do with light. The first is that due to the path of the sun, the master would block all but the early morning light from the downstairs extension Veluxes. Not a deal breaker, but worth bearing in mind. The second is that extending over the side would block the existing skylight in the hallway ceiling, which really brightens up the hall and would be a shame to lose. The only thing I can think of is to run a sun tunnel down from the roof to the hallway, which could be boxed into the corner of bedroom 2. It would have to travel through the attic, then the upstairs, and so would need to be quite long, so I'm not certain that would be effective. But other than that, I'm pretty excited by these plans. I should, however, caveat all of this by saying we're not in any rush to do any of this, and it may not happen for quite a while. And plans may change, of course, as they usually do. My mum also gave us a piece of advice to live in the house for at least 6 months before making any major alterations, which is actually quite convenient since we're fairly broke right now. It was, however, very important, especially for me, that this could be our forever home if we wanted it to be, and it should be a fun journey along the way, renovating, decorating, and building furniture. So if you've been watching and had any ideas spring to mind, or anything else, let me know. Of course, if you think we bought a lemon, then I'd probably rather not know. I'm also interested to know what you're interested in seeing. Oh, and let's not forget the workshop. That is happening. There's this old brick garage at the back of the garden, which I'll cover in future videos. The irony is, of course, not lost to me that I knocked down a brick garage to build a big workshop, only to move and have a brick garage again. But such is life. So there you have it, the future of the channel, and there's a ton of smaller projects not covered here. But we'll be getting back to the garden room series in the next video. See you then. I've got a bonus for you. If you've moved house like me and want to identify the plants or just label ones you've planted yourself, I found this cool app that lets you geotag them, which I thought some of you might enjoy. Okay, bye.